Turning to the very serious issues in Afghanistan and particularly at Kabul, it remains a highly dangerous environment. That danger, those risks have been increasing each and every day, as we always knew they would, and that's why we have been moving with the haste that we have. Overnight, around 1,200 people were evacuated from Kabul on 6 Australian flights and 1 New Zealand flight. They included Australians, Afghans and other nationals. That means in total around 4,000 people have been able to be evacuated as a result of this operation in some 29 flights over the last 8 days. Now that is probably more than 3 times what we would have anticipated when I was standing before you here with the Foreign Minister just over a week ago. And I want to thank all of those who have been putting themselves at great risk in Kabul, in particular, the men and women of our ADF, those from the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and the Department of Home Affairs. There are a large number who are now accommodated at AMAB, and we thank the United Arab Emirates for their great support in ensuring that we've been able to bring people safely there. There are 2 further transfer flights that are scheduled to depart AMAB today. One arrived this morning. 639 people who have been evacuated from Afghanistan are already now here in Australia, including the 220 who arrived earlier today. Australian citizens, residents and pre-visaed Afghan nationals are the priority for those transfer flights back to Australia, and the Department of Home Affairs will continue the additional processing that is required for those we've uplifted out of Afghanistan with temporary visas, and we will do further processing at AMEB before their transfer to Australia. I want to thank the states and territories for their support in making sure that we have the quarantine space available for them to be returned to Australia. That operation will now run for many days yet, and the quarantine arrangements and the reception facilities that we have here. There has been an almost 0 level of COVID that we've seen in those tested who've returned to Australia out of Afghanistan. But it isn't just COVID that we have to provide for. What we have to provide for is, you can imagine, the severe trauma that people have been going through over these many months, and particularly the circumstances prior to their departure. And we've been closely with those who are expert in this area to ensure the psychological and other support that is needed for people who are being transferred back to Australia is there to help them adjust, in many cases, to their new life in Australia, and for those residents and citizens who are returning to help them to adjust with what has been an incredibly harrowing experience. So those operations remain in place. They continue even now, but the situation is deteriorating, and we will continue to operate safely, but paramount in our operations ensuring the safety of those Australians who are directly involved in the evacuation effort.